Welcome to my channel Mintage Mysteries, where every coin has a hidden story. If you love discovering hidden treasures and uncovering coin secrets, you're in the right place. We're on a quest to solve the puzzles behind the world's most fascinating coins. From rare errors to legendary rarities, let's dive into the mysteries of numismatics. The 2005 Lincoln penny carries with it nearly a century of history, tracing its origins back to 1909 when the United States Mint decided to honor Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. Before Lincoln appeared on the cent, American coins typically featured symbolic figures rather than real historical individuals. Introducing Lincoln marked a major shift in American coinage philosophy, setting a precedent for using actual leaders and cultural icons on circulating currency. Sculptor Victor David Brenner was selected to design the coin, inspired by a portrait of Lincoln he had created earlier. Brenner's portrayal was chosen because it captured a thoughtful and compassionate expression that the Mint felt represented Lincoln's legacy. The resulting image quickly became one of the most recognizable coin portraits in the world, and it has remained on the obverse of every Lincoln cent through 2005 and beyond. Throughout its lifetime, the Lincoln cent went through several composition changes due to wartime needs, fluctuating metal prices, and advances in minting technology. For many decades, the coin was made primarily of copper, but during World War II, the Mint temporarily shifted to a zinc-coated steel cent to save copper for military equipment. After the war ended, the Mint returned to a high copper alloy, but rising copper prices in the late 20th century once again pressured the Mint to reconsider the coin's material. By 1982, the cost of copper had risen to the point where producing a mostly copper penny was no longer practical. The Mint adopted a lighter, less expensive composition, a zinc core plated with a thin outer copper layer. This new material combination, with about 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, continued into 2005. Although the internal metal was drastically different from earlier decades, the thin copper coating ensured that the coin still retained the traditional appearance and color associated with the cent since the 19th century. The design of the obverse in 2005 maintained the classic look established by Brenner, though it had been subtly refined over decades of technological changes in die making. Lincoln's portrait shows him facing right, his gaze slightly upward, with carefully sculpted details that give the image depth and realism. The hair, beard, and facial contours were sharpened in various re-engraving efforts over time in an attempt to preserve the original artistic qualities while adapting the design for modern high-speed minting equipment. Above the portrait is the national motto, placed prominently to reflect the principles the nation associates with Lincoln. To the left of Lincoln appears the word Liberty, and to the right the date 2005, along with a mint mark identifying whether the coin came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This layout has remained consistent for decades, making the coin instantly recognizable even to those only casually familiar with American currency. The reverse of the 2005 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The sculptor Frank Gasparo created a depiction of the memorial that emphasizes its symmetrical architecture, carefully rendering each column to capture the monument's neoclassical style. One of the most distinctive details of Gasparo's design is the tiny representation of the seated statue of Lincoln that appears within the central opening of the memorial. Although extremely small, this detail was an innovative touch that symbolically united the obverse and reverse by placing the same figure within both sides of the coin. Above the memorial is the inscription naming the country, while beneath the structure appears the coin's denomination. The phrase associated with the nation's ideals is inscribed across the top of the memorial structure, reinforcing the themes of unity and purpose that surround Lincoln's memory. By the time the 2005 penny entered circulation, the Lincoln Memorial design had been in use for nearly half a century, making it one of the longest-running reverse designs in modern American coinage. Although routine maintenance of the dies and small adjustments in relief had altered the crispness of some details over the decades, the overall appearance remained faithful to Gasparo's original composition. Die wear, plating thickness, and minting pressure could cause minor variations from coin to coin, particularly in the sharpness of the columns or the visibility of the tiny seated Lincoln, but these variations were considered normal and often of interest to collectors. The 2005 edition holds particular significance because it comes just 4 years before the design of the reverse was changed for the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth in 2009, when the Mint issued a series of special commemorative reverse designs followed by a long-term redesign. That makes the 2005 penny part of the closing chapter of the Lincoln Memorial era, representing a stable and familiar design that had been a constant presence in American life for generations. In everyday circulation, The 2005 Lincoln penny might have seemed like a simple and common piece of currency, but its physical form preserves layers of national history. From its artistic origins in the early 20th century to its economically driven shift in composition during the 1980s, the coin reflects both cultural values and practical necessities. Its design connects Americans with a key historical figure whose values and leadership shaped the country. Even in its small size and humble monetary value, the 2005 penny carries forward a tradition that spans over 100 years of American numismatic heritage. The 2005 Lincoln penny is generally considered a common coin, but its rarity and value come from certain conditions and specific minting errors rather than from the regular circulation strikes themselves. The standard coins from 2005 were produced by the millions at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which makes ordinary worn examples easy to find in pocket change. Because of this, most circulated pieces hold no extra worth beyond their face value. What sets certain 2005 pennies apart is the quality of their preservation or the presence of a mint error that occurred during production. Collectors place strong value on uncirculated examples with exceptional surfaces, especially those with sharp details and their original red color. The grading scale for these coins ranges from lower mint state grades to the highest grades in the mint state category. A 2005 penny that remains flawless or nearly flawless can reach significant prices. A few extremely high-grade examples, particularly those graded at the upper end of the mint state scale, have sold for many hundreds of dollars, and in rare instances, over $1,000. These unusually valuable pieces represent only a tiny fraction of the total mintage, as most coins show marks and imperfections from contact during mass production. Another source of rarity lies in errors created during the minting process. Because pennies are produced in enormous quantities at high speed, mechanical mistakes can occur, and the coins affected by these mistakes can become highly desirable to collectors. Among the most notable errors for 2005 are pieces missing their normal copper plating. These coins expose the zinc core underneath, giving them a pale appearance. Strong examples with this condition have been known to bring prices well into the hundreds of dollars. Another well-known error from this year includes double die reverses, where letters or design elements appear doubled because of a slight shift during the die creation process. These coins, when clearly defined and in good condition, can also reach high values among collectors. There are additional error types that influence rarity and price. Some 2005 pennies show strike-through marks caused when foreign material interferes with the striking of the coin. These marks can create unusual indentations or distortions on the surface. If the error is dramatic and the coin remains in mint state condition, it can command a substantial premium. Broad-struck pieces are another example, produced when a coin is struck without being properly confined in its collar, causing it to spread out beyond its normal diameter. These are visually distinct and can also lead to higher value. Coins struck multiple times or struck after flipping between strikes are even more uncommon and can attract significant collector interest. Brokerage errors, created when another coin becomes stuck in the die and leaves an imprint on subsequent strikes, are rare and often sell for exceptionally strong prices when tied to the 2005 issue. Even a simple die crack can increase a coin's desirability if the crack is bold, unusual, or forms a distinctive shape. Although minor die cracks are fairly common across many modern coins, prominent examples from 2005 in high grades can still be worth far more than face value. Collectors especially seek examples in mint state condition where the error is dramatic and visually clear. The value of these rare varieties also depends on details like color and sharpness. The brightest red pieces draw the most interest, while brown or darkened coins are less desirable. Sharp design details, especially on the steps and architectural lines of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, increase value. The cleaner the strike and the more original the surfaces, the greater the demand. Although the typical 2005 Lincoln penny is abundant, the unusual pieces with minting mistakes or superior preservation showcase how even a modern and widely produced coin can become rare. These standout examples illustrate how small variations in production, combined with the grading standards applied by collectors, can elevate a common coin to a high-value collectible. For anyone who believes they may have a rare 2005 penny, careful examination or professional grading can confirm whether their coin holds significant value beyond its everyday use. If you enjoyed today's exploration, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin discoveries, and share this video with fellow collectors. And as always, keep searching for those hidden treasures in your change. You never know when you might stumble upon the next big mystery.